Hello everyone.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Welcome. So welcome on the new webinar, how to set up an expense type on Eurécia. It will be presented by myself, Joris, and
Yolande.
So we are both consultants at Eurécia. What to expect for today? So here is the summary. First, we are going to have a little part on the business context, but the main part will be on how to configure the expense types on Eurécia. And at the end, we will direct you if you need further information.
If you have any questions during the webinar, don't hesitate to ask questions with a chat box, and we'll read them and try to answer to you if we have enough time. So please don't hesitate. Use a chat box to ask us any question. We're here to answer your question.
And do not hesitate to tell us if we have any technical problem. If you do not see us, if you do not hear us, you can tell us.
With a chat box as well.
Okay, I think it is okay.
I think you hear us well. Okay, let's carry on then.
So the business context. The expense reports module in Eurécia, what's it for? It is to allow your employees to submit business expenses and attach the receipt. So for meals, business trips, gas, taxi, train, etc. To easily prove and monitor expenses, to track clients' project spending, and to quickly export the data for accounting and tax purposes. So in order to use this module efficiently, we will now show you how to configure it properly. And with us, you are going to become an expert on configuring the profiles, the expense types, the geographic areas and the VAT rates, the expense groups, and the OCR. Let's go on the platform. Where to find the expense types? So on the tab at the left of your platform, you have the admin area. And in the admin area, you will have the expense reports menu. So let's go on the platform. Perfect. As I told you, on the left of your screen, you have the admin area at the end of the tab. If you click on expense reports, you will access to the expense reports menu, and the first menu, profiles and groups, will give you access to the expense profiles and to the list of the expense types. On the left, you can see that we have two profiles, the management schedule and the standard schedule. In each profile, we will have a list of expenses, and you will have to attach a profile, the right profile to the right employee, because each profile gives different rights. Let's see how to configure a profile. For each profile, if you click on the management schedule or on the standard schedule, you will access to the setups of the profile. First section, general information. You can name your profile. You can put a code for your profile, and if you no longer use profile, you can archive the profile. The expense report frequency section. You can set up a frequency. It can be monthly, weekly, or open. If it is open, your collaborator will be able to create expense reports with a start date and an end date of their choice. You can enter a maximum number of expense reports. So if it is monthly, and if you put 2, they will be able to create 2 expense reports in the month, and you can activate the automatic creation of expense reports. each month, the expense report will be created automatically. The expenses input sections. You can choose data to display or not on the expenses. For example, you can display the name of the expenses, and you can of the expense report, sorry, and you can say that it will be mandatory to input the name. You can add the comments, and same thing, you can ask that the comments will be mandatory for your collaborators. And you can give the choice to your collaborators to say if the expense is reimbursable or not. So you can as well set up a maximum delay in days for the expenses. For example, if you enter 30, your collaborators will not be able to input an expenses that is older than 30 days. You can set up a tolerance for the VAT. When a collaborator enter the VAT, there will be a little tolerance on the percentage. You can involve the employee in reimbursements for exceeded limits if it's paid with a company card, and you can an important thing, you can activate probative supporting documents, meaning that you will not have to keep the receipts, because Eurécia have an agreement with an external company that certify the receipts, and you will not have to keep the receipts. And then we have the mileage of professional vehicles. You can enable the tracking. You can enable the tracking of the mileage. Next, you have the expense report display options. So if you want to display the summary of the employer contribution breakdown or the expense report reference, you can check the boxes. And as well, you can give the rights to your employees to edit the fiscal horsepower of their personal vehicle. And the last section, the printout. So your employees will be able to print out the expenses report, and you can choose what information will be displayed in if you print the expense report. So if you check the box, the information will appear on the expense reports that you print. When you are done with the setup of your profile, of your expense report profile, you can save it on the right top of your screen. And now we are going to show you how to configure an expense type. And I will let you know.
So Joris showed you how to set up an expense profile. So here in the example, we have management and standards. So if you want to add another one, obviously, otherwise you have the little plus. If you want to use what's already in the platform, you can use the. That's my mouse. Sorry, I've lost my mouse. It's gonna near the screen.
Okay.
Okay, it's back. Or you can use the copy button here. Okay. So
just I did not say that it is the same thing to create a new profile. If you want to create a new profile, you can click on new profile, and if you want to duplicate profile as well, so yeah, same thing. Same thing.
Okay, so now you know how to set up a profile. We're going to see how to create an expense type. So you see in the different profiles, so in standard, for example, we already have a lot of expenses already set up for you. and it's how you get the platform because we configured it for you at first. But same thing as we just said, if you want to add another expense, you have the plus and the copy button here. So if we take the lunch, for example, I'm going to try to explain to you all the different configuration you can do inside the expense. Okay, so the first thing you do is you give a name to the expense. So lunch is in my example. You have different icons here that you can use. This is nice because when the employee keys the expense, visually you can see what he's looking for. Okay. The groups. So the group are a nice configuration to do, and Joris will explain to you just after how to do that. So basically, you can group the expenses together to have them all together, and they display as a group. So for example, here, in my example, the lunch is grouped with the meals. So you have all the meals together, lunch, dinner, coffee. So they're all together, and when an employee key is expense, it's got all the lunch together. Joris will show you how to do that. It's actually on the second section in groups here. Accounting information. So that's important because all the information you put in this section will be shown in your export, in your accounting export that you will use to do your accounting. So accounting account, that's the number of your account, the main account. Next, you have the VAT account. So this information here that you will add, it's only if you claim back some VAT. So if you claim back some VAT, you will add your VAT account here, and you will select here in proportion to the amount reimbursed. If you don't claim VAT, you don't need this, and then you say do not claim. So in the example of I claim some VAT, here I will set up the different VAT rates. I will show you how to create them just after that. So in the example, we have 5.5, 20, and 10, which are the rate in France. And I can also here say what percentage of the VAT I claim back. Is it 100%? Is it 80%? So here is a VAT account. Here is a type of VAT rate, and that is what percentage I claim back. Okay. Next, payment. Section payments. It's to configure the type of reimbursement. So what do you reimburse to your employee? Is it the actual expense? Is it a fixed amount? And in case of kilometer, you have to select kilometer expenses. If it is the actual expense, that the amount really spent, then you select actual expense. You can also add upper limit or maximum. So here in the example, we have put upper limit 15 euro per day, but you can select different option here. You can say by expense, by month, or by week. And you can include the invitee or not in the reimbursement. If you don't want to have a limit, you just don't use it by clicking on the little rubbish bin, and then you have only the actual expenses. Fixed here, fixed amount. I will always reimburse you for lunch 10 euros. Then I configure it this way. Okay. Invitee management. This is to allow invitee management into your expenses. So here we have set up internal or external invitee. I can also choose only internal or only external. Okay. When I click on internal or external or both, I can also add some adding field and say I want to know the guest name and the company or something else. For example, if I had here, I want to know something else. And if it's mandatory, I configure it this way and say this information is mandatory. The idea of the invitee management, it's very useful when you have to, when you do internal management and you all go to restaurant together, instead of having everybody to request reimbursement, you can do, somebody can do only one expense and key all the invitees, and then the other invitees won't be allowed to do an expense because they all on the first expense. Same thing if you want to do external. It's quite useful also if you want to see who you have invited as guests, and also if you do reinvoicing behind it. Okay, I hope it's clear. Please don't hesitate to ask questions if you want in the chat box. Meal voucher. So this is quite French notion here. The meal voucher will allow you to deduct a meal voucher if it's a lunch. So basically a ticket restaurant in French. So this will allow you to deduct a meal voucher to the employee if he has skipped this type of expense, in my example, lunch. Okay. And I can also deduct a meal voucher if I have invited somebody internal. I can also see here, deduct a meal voucher for the internal invited. Additional fields. So additional field, I can use it to add an additional field. For example, I want a comment or, I don't know, comments, for example. And it's mandatory. Don't know if it's 1M or 2M. 1M, mandatory. Then the employee will have to enter a comment in the comment section.
If he do not put the comment, he will not be able to submit the expense.
Exactly. Supporting document. So the supporting document is basically, do you want the receipt to be mandatory? We advise you to do that. And the reference as well is mandatory to be displayed when you see the expense. So this is the most common configuration. And I think that's about it for the input you put in the expense type. If I go back to here, the VAT rate and the geographical area, said I will show you how to do it because here we have done for the French system. But if you want to do another one, so before going out, you will. That's 1 mouse again. So with it,
I don't know.
Better.
Can happen.
Yeah. So before going out, you save everything. Obviously, you go back to general settings. So it's also in the admin area. No, it's expenses report. Sorry, expenses report. Just behind the profile. So earlier we were here in the profile. Now we're going to go to the geographic areas and VAT. I click on open here. You can see, for example, you've got the French one already set up, but you can set up another one by using the plus button here. And we will say, no, sorry, this one. I created one inside. Sorry. So here you have the French one. If you want to create another area, you click on the plus button here. I can say, I give it an name, for example, UK. Yeah. Let's go here. Good. That's UK, for example. I can also say it's a default area. I save it. And there I can ask the percentage of the VAT. I think in the UK it's mainly 20. I put a start date. Let's say the VAT is around since the 1st of January 2020, for example. And I save it.
Okay, I think you have to put the code.
I didn't put the code, sorry. 20?
Yes, 20. And maybe the description. And an interesting thing is that you can put an accounting account here, and this way you will not have to put the accounting account in each expense. It will be pre-set up.
Save it. Okay, so here is the way you do it. What else we want to tell you?
We go back in an expense. We will be able to add an idea.
Wanted to show you how to group the expense.
Oh yes, yes.
You do that?
So my turn. So we are back in the profile and groups menu. we showed you the profiles tab, and now we are going to take a look to the groups tab. In the groups tab, so it is the same display. At your left, you will have the list of the groups. So we have two pre-set up groups, meals and transports. You can create a new one by clicking on new category. So if we take a look to the meals group, in the general information section, you are able to name your group. You can archive it as well if you need. Then you will have to set up a role for your group. The most common role is to group the expense types in the list when entering an expense report. So it is the most common. It facilitates the input for your employees. But you can as well create a group to set up a reimbursement limit on the total of several expenses. You can create a group to group expenses for data analysis, and you can as well create a group to block reciprocal invitations. So you have many roles. And then when you create a group, you obviously have to list all the expenses types that will be inside this group. If you want to add an expense type, so you just have to click on the plus, and you will be able to add an expense. As you can see, you can group expenses from different profiles. For example, for the meal group, you have the dinner from the management schedule profile and the dinner from the standard schedule profile. Let me show you how the display is when you input an expense. So I'm going to the manager view on the module expense reports. And if I click on new expense report, so I will have a list most used, automatically created. I will have all the uncategorized expenses types, and I will have my two groups, meals and transports. So
great, thanks, Roy.
And to finish.
Yeah, last information we wanted to tell you, it's configuration for the OCR, which is the automatic recognition. So you know, in Eurécia, when you add a supporting document, when you add a receipt, you can allow the system to recognize some of the data in the receipt, for example, the date, the amount, this kind of thing. So to configure this, you need to go into the general settings, company record, and on the section called configuration, and you will enable the OCR, the automatic recognition. It's under the expenses report setting, and just here. Perfect. You save it. And this will allow Eurécia to recognize some data in the receipt you add to the expense, which is quite useful, I think.
Perfect.
Okay, if you have any questions, please let us know. We will be happy to answer you. Any questions? It was clear enough? No question? Okay. Well, to go further, as always, on the document, on the PowerPoint presentation, we have added the link to the article on the help desk, on the help center. So don't hesitate to click on this link and see the other articles. Any need of assistance, any need of support, please don't hesitate to contact our support team. We have added here as well the email and the phone number. They do speak English, Spanish, French, and much more, so don't hesitate to contact them. And also on this slide, you will see the contact for the CSM, for the Customer Success Manager. We are also at your disposal to discuss any point linked to your contract with Eurécia. And to finish, the next webinar will be in 15 days on the 1st of October at 12 o'clock as well. It will be a French webinar, even if we have put the name in English, it's a French webinar linked to the absence profile. So don't hesitate to join us on the 1st of October at 12. If you have any questions, we're here to answer any question. If you need more information.
Yes, we are going to wait a bit. If you have any questions, do not hesitate.
No? Okay. Okay, well, if you don't have any questions, thank you for your participation.
Thank you very much.
We hope it was not too difficult to hear us with our French accent and facial mask. Hope you will enjoy configurate the expense type, and don't hesitate to come back to us if you have any more questions.
You can ask questions by email, and see you soon on Eurécia.
Have a good day, everybody.
Bye. Have a good day.